Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Well, it's time for another Tools and Tech Tuesday, and today I thought we'd take the time to talk a little more about the T-Mobile Home Internet Service. I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression because as excited as I am about this service, as much as I like it, there are some issues with it. I've had it for several months now, and I've talked to people who have it, I've talked to people who sell it, and I've also read comments on my own videos and comments on other videos, and so there are a few common issues, and so I'd like to talk about those and maybe a possible solution, and we'll go from there. So one of the common concerns that I see out there is people wondering if it's going to work for them at their home before they buy it. And if you go to the T-Mobile website and you put your address in, it will tell you if it's available at your house or not. And my understanding from T-Mobile is that they want to only provide it to people that they have a reasonable expectation that it's going to do really well. There's multiple factors in that equation, like how far away is your tower, what bands is your tower running, how strong, how many watts are those bands running at. All kinds of different things that sort of goes into what they figure whether you are going to get a good signal at your house or not. That's not to say that there couldn't be other factors in that equation that they didn't know about or they didn't include, such as maybe between your house and the tower there's an electrical substation, or maybe the material that your house is made out of reduces your reception inside the house. So when you step outside, you get good reception, but when you're inside the house, your reception drops off. Well, that's things that they're not able to take into account. But overall, if they say that it's available at your house, then I would say it's definitely worth a try. One common issue that's been known is Xbox Live Chat doesn't seem to want to work with the T-Mobile Home Internet Service very well. It'll work on your phone or on your PC. People are using that to get around it, but directly on your console, it doesn't seem to want to work. It gives you a NAT error. Hopefully T-Mobile is fixing this. They've got to be working on this because that's a lot of people to potentially walk away from this service if they don't fix it. There's a lot of gamers out there. Sort of related to that, occasionally there are some people that will have some issues with a website or a piece of software that wants to use the internet, and just the way that it has to be configured, it doesn't seem to want to work properly. One lady said that everything worked for them great, but her daughter got a job, and the one thing that wouldn't work is the software that her daughter needed to use for that job. She said that she was told that it's a port forwarding issue, and we know that at least in the past, that was an issue where T-Mobile had disabled some of those settings in the router. One suggestion that you might try for a situation like that is to use a VPN that has open ports at the other end, or a VPN that you could change the settings for individual ports. I'll say that even though I'm happy with my service and it works for me, I would say that the speed does vary, and if you follow channels like Sneed Mobile Tech, he shows in a lot of speed tests where his just sometimes will slow down right to a crawl. There's times where he'll go weeks and it's fine, but then other times he'll have some occasional issues. I recently watched a video by a channel called Savvy Polar Bear, and the video was called something like T-Mobile's 5G home internet is blazing fast. Well, I clicked on it, and when you watch it, although he's really happy with it, he also does say that the speeds are all over the place. So that the speeds for him are going from like great to like excellent, but some people it might be more like average to great. It might be sort of like poor to average. It just really depends on what you're going to get. I'm personally still getting about the same speeds as you saw in previous videos. Earlier when I did a speed test, I think I got almost 40 down, almost 9 up, and I think I had a 55 millisecond ping. So those kind of metrics aren't blowing me away, but it's definitely sufficient for my needs. Now, if you don't already know, neither one of the T-Mobile gateways actually has ports to hook up an external antenna on the outside, so it's not really meant for the user to do. But I watched a video by a channel called Nader Tater, and he shows how he installed pigtails, kind of fished them out through the bottom, but he had to take it all apart in order to do it. And then he's able to plug in different external antennas, and he actually did a separate video where he shows data on how well each of those antennas did. That is an option, but honestly, even though he said that it's not bad, I think that it's more work than I think most people would want to do. There's several screws just to get the cap off. Then you got to pull out the SIM card. You got to pull out the battery. You got to pull off the whole main case. And there's more screws. And there's delicate wires in there. I don't know if most people would feel comfortable with that. If you do, great. But just know that it would probably void any warranty on the thing. I agree with Nader Tater that based on his experimentation, that the improvements that he saw from most of those antennas were pretty much marginal, and so it's not really worth going to all that effort of tearing the thing apart and taking a chance on maybe even breaking something. It's just better just to stick the gateway in the best placement that you possibly can. Get it as high in your house as you can, and try to stick it by a window that faces in the direction of the cell phone tower. And I found that if you turn it a little bit, it can actually affect the signal quality and affect your speed. I don't think most people will need an external router because, as we saw in my previous video, I was impressed with the Wi-Fi signal strength from this new 5G gateway. But if you do find that the signal strength is weak, you can always get an external router, plug that in, and use that with the T-Mobile gateway.
I forgot to mention that they upped the price from $50 to $60 a month for new customers.
Well, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this update on what I've learned about the T-Mobile home internet service. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.